Most applications or programs have proprietary file formats. Microsoft Word, Microsoft Excel, Apple's Pages word processor, and even FileMaker have closely held file format secrets. They don't want to reveal those secrets by publishing their file formats, even if it will allow another company to produce an import or conversion filter. Especially since they don't want people moving from one product to another, but they just don't really want to help out the competition because they give away the family jewels essentially when they do that. So what you have to do is you have to find an intermediary format, one that both products support. Because most products can import and export, but they'll use these intermediary formats so that you can have a common format, a place to go to where you can export it to that format, and then the other program can then import it. And this allows you to exchange data between programs. They're really the easiest way to do it. There's more complex ways that are more automatic, but this is one of the easiest ways to do it. And you often do this with a word processor. You want to get your FileMaker data into a word processor, so you want to go ahead and export and then import into the word processor, and that way you can do a merge or form letter in the word processor. But there's all kinds of reasons why you might want to import and export. So we're going to go over, for starters here, the different types of formats. Now what you'll see down here are dashes and bullets, and one that has an asterisk. The dashes means that if you have FileMaker 11, it's not going to be a format that's in there. Only the bulleted ones will be in FileMaker 11. But if you have something like FileMaker 7, you may see one of these other formats. We're not going to really cover them, but I'm going to put them up here so you can see them. Now the special one with the asterisk is a special case. The DBF or DBase format was removed in FileMaker 10 and then added back into FileMaker 11. It was removed because it's an old format that not very many people use, but apparently FileMaker was wrong about that because a lot of people complained and they brought it back in FileMaker 11. Nobody complained about diff or WKS or SYLK, none of those, or basic. No big deal on those. Those are still gone. So let's go over each one of these items that are in there so you have a better understanding of what these file formats are. So comma separated, pretty common. It puts a comma between each field and a return between each record. So let's say that you exported from your FileMaker contacts database the first and last name. It would look something like John, comma, Osborne, return, Ida, comma, Agsalud, return, and so on. That's what it means by comma separated. The DBF format is for DBase files. And if you have an old DBase file, well, if it's in version 3 or 4, it will allow you to import it into FileMaker. You're just going to get the data, not any of the structure of the DBF file. Then, of course, you can import from FileMaker Pro version 7, 8, 8.5, 9, 10, or 11. That's because they have all the same file format. Even though 11 has more features than 7, you can program a solution in FileMaker 11 that doesn't use any new features, and it'll open up just fine in 7. And even if it does have new features that FileMaker 7 doesn't support, or 10 or whatever, when you open it up, those features just won't work. The rest of the program will work. So it's kind of interesting how these all share the same format, so therefore you can import between any version of FileMaker 7 and above. Then you have HTML. Now all these formats are import and export, except for HTML. It's only export. It allows you to create out of your data a table. And if you're familiar with HTML, a table looks kind of like a spreadsheet. And so you can export, and what you can do with this is you can start off a web page by getting the table started and then put some other HTML around it, because it does a very basic table. Or you could just send it to somebody who can drop it on a web browser and see it. There's a lot of ways you could use this. Merge format, as we said before, is the way that word processors allow you to create merge letters or form letters. So you can export from FileMaker to merge format, open it up in any word processor like Word or something like that, and merge that FileMaker data with a merge letter inside of Microsoft Word. Then you also have Excel format. FileMaker has reverse engineered the file format, so they support Excel 97 or anything later, including the new .xslx. So pretty much any Excel spreadsheet you can import into FileMaker, and usually what people do is they've been working in a spreadsheet a long time, and they go, wow, I need a database, or somebody shows them a database and they see the power over a spreadsheet. So they want to import their data into it and start using FileMaker instead. Tab separated text is one of the most common. It's very much like the comma separated, but it has a tab instead of a comma between each field. So it would be John tab Osborne return, Ida tab Agsalud return. And so when FileMaker is reading that on an import, it sees the tab and goes, oh, this is a new field. So it knows where to put all the fields in that order. Now, tab separated is more popular, or should be more popular, than comma separated because it has a tab which is less likely to be in your actual data. A comma is fairly likely to be in your data, and I've seen a lot of problems with this. So if you have a choice between comma or tab, always choose tab. And then you have XML, or Extensible Markup Language. This is a language that allows you to talk to another program, to exchange information. It's a metadata language. In other words, if you've ever seen HTML and all the tags, well, it has tags in there that describe the information. And you get to make up these tags. They're not something that is made up and decided upon before you use it. It's tags that describe your information in the way you can only describe your information. So those tags allow somebody who's reading that data, another program, to look at the data and have it be meaningful. Rather than just a bunch of data, they can actually look for what data they want. So XML is great. You can exchange your FileMaker data with another program, and a lot of times use a transformation script like XSL or something like that. But you can also go ahead and translate it to a web browser, so you can use it for web publishing. So there's a lot of uses. So what we're going to do is go over most of these formats, try examples of them, see how they work, and see how you can use them. And my guess is it will be a good idea for you to go over these different formats, or at least research them a little bit, so you can learn a little bit more about them, so you know which one to choose in the right situation.